The first thing we're going to talk about is the sum of the interior angles of a polygon. This is going to be true whether the polygon is regular or not. The sum of the interior angles is what you get when you add up every single interior angle. Just a reminder, the interior angles are the angles that are formed by the two of the sides of the polygon. And the way we discovered that was by taking these polygons and splitting the insides up into triangles. And each triangle has 180 degrees. And what we found out was the number of triangles that you can split your shape up into is 2 less than the number of sides. So that gives us a nice formula that we can use. The sum of the angles, so what I get when I add all the angles together, will equal 180 times n minus 2. And n is the number of sides. This will be true for every polygon, whether it is regular or not. Remember, regular means that the polygons have the same length sides and equal angles. They are equilateral and equiangular. So if I have an example like this, the sum of the interior angles of a polygon is 2,700 degrees. How many sides does it have? I can use this formula to help me find the number of sides. We know the sum of the interior angles is equal to 2,700 degrees. So that is going to go here into our formula. And the question asks us how many sides. So that is what our variable is. So our variable is going to be n, the number of sides, and we can plug our numbers and our variable into the formula and solve. So let's do that. The sum of the angles, 2,700 degrees, equals 180 times n minus 2. And now we're going to solve this equation for m. So you need to think back to your algebra solving skills. When you have parentheses in your equation, like 180 times n minus 2, you can distribute the number out in front of the parentheses. So multiply n by 180 and minus 2 by 180. Or if that's the only thing on that side of the equation, you can divide both sides by whatever the number is that's multiplying the parentheses to get rid of it that way. So that's what I'm going to do for this one. I'm going to divide both sides by 180 degrees. That is going to get rid of the 180 that is multiplying the parentheses. And in my calculator, I'm going to do 2,700 divided by 180, and I get 15. So now my equation becomes 15 equals n minus 2. And I don't need the parentheses anymore because I'm not multiplying by anything anymore. I divided by 180 to get rid of the multiplying, so I don't need the parentheses anymore. Now to get n by itself, it's being subtracted by 2. So I'm going to add 2 because that will zero out the minus 2. If I add 2 to the right, I have to add 2 to the left. And that gives me, whoops, that got funky. 17 equals n. So that means that my shape has 17 sides. This is an example of using the sum of the interior angles to solve for the number of sides. Now, when my polygon is regular, so when it's equilateral and equiangular, I can find one single interior angle. And basically what I'm doing is I'm finding the sum of the angles of the polygon. And then since I know those angles are all equal to each other, they're all congruent, I can divide by how many there are, and that'll give me one single angle measure. The angle measure is going to equal 180 times n minus 2. That's the sum of all of the interior angles, divided by n. That's the number of sides. So I'm finding the sum of the angles of the polygon. And since the angles are all congruent, I'm going to divide by how many angles there are, and that will give me one single interior angle. So that is the formula for finding a single interior angle of a regular polygon. We're looking at the example, if an interior angle of a regular polygon is 150 degrees, how many sides does it have? There are two different ways that I can find this. I'm going to show you both ways. Do not write anything down until after the second way, okay? Because I'm going to show you both ways, and then we're going to decide which way we want to use based on which one is easier. I always like to use the easiest way, right? The easiest method is better. So just watch me solve these, and then we'll write down the way that you prefer, the way that you think will be easier to do. All right, so I know that the interior angle of this regular polygon, it's important that it's regular, because if it's not a regular polygon, you can't find one of the angle measures without a lot more information. So the interior angle of the regular polygon is 150 degrees. So that is going to go here where I have angle written. So I'm going to say 150 degrees. Again, don't write any of this down yet. 150 degrees equals, and I'm trying to find how many sides it has. So I'm going to be solving for n. So 150 degrees equals 180 degrees times n minus 2 divided by n. Don't write any of this down yet. I have a fraction, so I got to do some fraction busting, right? The way I get rid of a fraction is by multiplying both sides of the equation by the denominator. Because if I have n divided by n, that equals 1. It cancels it out and it gets rid of the fraction. So now my equation has become 150 times n, because I had to multiply the n on the right and on the left to keep it in balance, equals 180 degrees times parentheses n minus 2. And just looking at this, if I divided both sides by 180 the way I did in that first example, I'm not going to get a very nice number when I do 150 divided by 180. I'm going to try to distribute instead, because I think that might make it a little bit easier on me. Distributing gets rid of your parentheses. You're multiplying everything in the parentheses by 180 in this case. So now I've got 150n equals 180n, and then 180 times 2 is 360. So then I would have minus 360. I have n on both sides of my equation. I got to move them all onto one side. Normally, I move my smaller one over to be with the bigger one. But if I do that, then I'm going to get 0 on one side, and that tends to confuse people. So let's just move everything over to the left side. So I'm going to subtract 180n. That's how I would move it, because 180n minus 180n zeroes out. If I subtract 180n from the right side, I need to subtract it from the left side. So 150 minus 180, that gives me negative 30n equals negative 360. Now I need to get rid of the negative 30 that is multiplying. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 30. That will get rid of that and leave me with just n. Move that down a little bit. And negative 360 divided by negative 30, if I put that into my calculator, I get 12. Okay, so that means that my polygon has 12 sides. So there's method 1 to solve and figure out. Again, don't write any of that down yet. Here's my second method. I know that when I have an interior angle of a polygon, so like here's my polygon, I can extend one of the sides to get my exterior angle. So if my interior angle is 150 degrees, the exterior angle is going to be supplementary. It's going to add up to 180 because they form a straight line. So they're a straight angle pair. So that means that if I know that my interior angle is 150 degrees, I can find my exterior angle by doing 180 minus my interior angle. If I do 180 minus 150, I get 30. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because no matter how big my polygon is, no matter how many sides my polygon has, the exterior angles always add up to 360. So what that means is I can do 360 degrees and divide it by my exterior angle, which is 30, And that will give me the number of sides, 12. That is a lot less work and a lot fewer places for you to make mistakes than that first method. So that's what we're going to do instead. We're going to use this method here. We're going to find the exterior angle. We're going to do 360 divided by the exterior angle, and that will give us the number of sides. Okay, so let's annotate that a little bit here. Getting rid of all that extra work. Let's do it the easy way. Step 1 is to find the exterior angle. Go ahead and write this down now. Find the exterior angle. And the way that we find it is by doing 180 degrees minus the interior angle, because the interior angle and the exterior angle are a linear pair. They're a straight angle. They're supplementary. Once you have your exterior angle, you're just going to do 360 degrees divided by the exterior angle, and that will give you the number of sides, n. Much less work, far fewer places for you to make mistakes in. So much easier to do it this way. And again, this is only when your polygon is regular.